slumber. Welcome to Tuesday. I went ahead for what the coven discussed this AM. I printed that out before the live so I don't have to wait to discuss it tomorrow. So it took me a few extra minutes, but that is what I did. I thought it was worth it to print it today. All right, versus waiting a whole 24 hours or whenever YouTube finishes the video to get that information to you. All right. Before we get started, one of those, a lawyer was flirting with me yesterday, and he builds schools. And I kept saying, why is this man keep talking to me? And I ain't looked his way at all. Anyway, he goes, what you got there? It's a Caucasian man, of course. I said, so I just put it to the side since he was meddling. I said, here you go, boo. I handed him 40 money scriptures and 40 money spells. And he just kind of looked, and that's when he started to tell me about himself. I said, well, that's so nice. People should be careful what they put into trash cans. If it has personal information on it that you don't want nobody knowing, you need to shred it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to start with a couple of deep breaths. We've got a lot to go over. And I'm here for it. All right. I don't think I forgot anything today, but just in case. Ooh, that felt awesome. We are in for some treats today. Let's start with the scripture. Oh, I got my Baraka today, by the way. Welcome to day 12. All right. How to use these books, 40 Money Scriptures is on day 2. How to use 40 Money Spells is on day 1, including how to do your altar setup. All right, mirror blessing for self. Psalm 122, verse 7. May peace be within your walls and prosperity within your palaces. Amplified Bible. May shalom be with your ramparts, prosperity in your palaces, complete Jewish Bible. Peace be within your walls and prosperity within your palaces, World English Bible. I promised you that I would look up a few goddesses. We went over several goddesses yesterday. How to spell those goddesses is on day 10 on my Substack and in my Skip blog. But I wanted to focus on getting the ones that you're supposed to avoid, of course, in the Bible. So, I should grab that's fine, I'll do that later. Let's just put this here. I also covered writing your invocations, examples, and how to clean altar items. So those were discussed yesterday. Let's go through a few goddesses that was discussed on day 11. Let's see. How about the Anunnaki? Hello, welcome to the channels, love. Danu Anguilla and Brittany Steepler 2103 and Bahia Brown -M6R. So we're going to start with the Anunnaki goddesses. Inanna, Ishtar, the most dominant goddess in Mesopotamian, I call it Meso. She governed the polarities of love, desire, and ferocious warfare. As the evening and morning star Venus, she held the unique power to alter fates, break boundaries, and validate the divine rights of king. Ninhursag, Ki, Nima, the cosmic matrix and womb, one of the four foundational creators of the universe, known as the Great Mother. She is the architect of biological life, who molded the first human prototype from clay and blood. She rules the earth's fertility, mountains, and raw generative matrix. Ereshkigal, the monarchess of the great below, Anaya's dark, unyielding older sister. She reigned with absolute authority over Irkalla, Irkalla, the underworld. She represents the inescapable cosmic law of mortality, presiding as the supreme judge over the souls of kings and commoners alike in the land of no return. Namu, Namma, the primordial abyssal sea, the ancient self-existing mother goddess who predates the pantheon. She personifies the subterranean fertile salt waters, Apsu, that birthed heaven and earth, Ki. It was Namu who prompted Enki, E-N-K-I, to create humanity to relieve the younger gods of their labor. Ninlil, Sud, the queen of winds and statecraft, the consort of Enlil, the chief executive god and the co-ruler of the cosmic decree. She is the lady of the open field in the air, wielding immense administrative power. Within divine assembly, she directly influenced the allocation of human kingship and agriculture abundance. Nisaba, Nidaba, the highest archivist and star mapper, the goddess of writing, literacy, mathematics, and scribble arts. She served as the ultimate intellectual force of the Anunnaki, keeping the celestial ledgers of the gods, measuring time and mapping the stars to read the architectural blueprints of fate. Gula, the high priestess of healing and resurrection, also known as Nikarok and Ninishina, the supreme goddess of medicine, transformation, and physical restoration, armed with salves, surgical knives, and her sacred companion, the dog. She controlled the delicate boundary between disease and vitality. She could inflict plagues as divine justice or recall souls from the brink of the eternal resting. Nanshe, the guardian of social equality and prophecy, the patron goddess of the water, dream interpretation, and radical social justice. She stood as the fierce protector of widows, orphans, and the disenfranchised. Nanshe walked the human realm to inspect weight, scales, and market balances, ensuring absolute integrity in human commerce. Gesh Tinani, the keeper of the sacred script and vine, the lady of the vine and sister to the forever to be resting shepherd dog Dumanzi. She is a highly mystical figure who acts as the literal scribe of the underworld, recording the names of those no longer here on the third realm. She splits her time between the moral world and the deep below, balancing the cosmic cycles of seasonal renewal. Aya. Sharita, the radiant morning light, the ancient goddess of light, beauty, and the break of dawn, who evolved into the consort of the sun god, Utu, Shamash. She represents the daily reawakening of consciousness, youth, and the generative power of acting as a direct mediator between humanity and her intensely strict husband. All right, so I looked at religious traditions, pantheons, and deities explicitly targeted and condemned in the Bible. So we can break down these into 5 distinct categories. The Canaanite and Phoenician religions. The immediate neighbors of ancient Israel. The Canaanites practiced a polytheist religion centered on fertility, weather, and cosmic order. The Old Testament prophets viewed Canaanite worship as the primary corrupting influence on Israel. Bell.
I just have a question.
Come on in, sugar.
All right, thanks. I noticed that you had, that Bravo says Angela Walker on it too. Did you accidentally reserve 2 rooms?
I called one day and I think they got the rooms mixed up.
Got it. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and just cancel the one on Bravo. Thanks.
Okay, honey. Thank you, love.
Just checking.
I'm in a room called Alpha for Apothecary. Hold on. I said, ooh. And that's funny because I just started reading Spells and Potions. How do I do this? Let me see. Anyway, okay. Spells and Potions by the chapter in the High Magic Indoctrination, the ritual indoctrination, the Doctrine and Ritual of High Magic, Ephelius Levi. So that's right on point. All right. Bel, the Canaanite storm, rain, and fertility god, condemned extensively throughout the books of Judges, Kings, and Hosea. Bel worship often influenced ritual. Ladies twerking, that's what we're going to call it, the P word. In appeals for agricultural abundance, directly competing with Yahweh's claim as the sole provider of rain and harvest. Listen, I ain't got no issue with y'all in the P word, twerking, or nothing else. Okay, I think me and Bill would have got along. We would have had a really great time. Let's keep going. Asherah and Ashtoreth. Ashtoreth was the mother goddess and consort of El, the chief Canaanite god, often represented by sacred wooden poles. Sounds like a strip pole to me. Erected near altars, Ashtoreth, a variant of Mesopotamian Ishtar, was the goddess of war and fertility. The Bible commands the total destruction of their ritual groves and high places. Don't get rid of the strip poles, baby. We need to keep all the strip poles, okay? And if y'all was around here having more orgasms, maybe the world wouldn't be at war. Anyway, we need some more stripper poles. All right. The Transjordanian tribal cults, Moab and Ammon. East of the Jordan River, the kingdoms of Moab and Ammon practiced localized, highly nationalistic state religions. The biblical text reserves some of their harshest language for these cults due to the sacrificial demands. Moloch, Milcom, the national god of the Ammonites. The Torah explicitly forbids passing seeds through the fire to Molech. Leviticus 18:21. A direct reference to the practice of children no longer being here. So, yes, this one should disappear completely. Okay? King Solomon later built a high place for Milcom to appease his foreign wives, which was later defiled and destroyed by King Josiah. We're going to talk about King Solomon here in a minute, baby. Chemosh, the supreme deity of the Moabs, referred to in Kings as the abomination of Moab. Like Molech, worship of Chemosh was deeply tied to military conquest and occasional sacrifice. Yeah, Epstein. Absolutely. Okay. The Mesopotamian religions, Babylon and Assyria. During the eros of Assyrian expansion and the Babylonian exile, Israel came into direct contact with the massive state-sponsored astral and civic pantheons of Mesopotamia. I will tell you that with these religions, or at least with this Bible, that they are definitely colonizer consciousness, because we named they on Saturday, I believe. It was day 10, part 3. We named they. We named, I believe that's the day we did it, colonizer consciousness. Colonizer consciousness definitely holds to following some of the practices in this Bible. That's all I got to say. All right. On that. Baal and Nebo. Baal, another title for Marduk, the pantheon god of Babylon, and his son Nebo, the god of writing and wisdom, are explicitly mocked by the prophet Isaiah 46:1. The text describes these massive imperial gods as unalived weight, collapsing and being carted off on pack animals. Tammuz, the ancient Sumerian Babylon god of vegetation and fertility, originally Dumunzi. In the book of Ezekiel, the prophet is shown a vision of the temple and Jeremiah being defiled, explicitly highlighting women sitting there weeping for Tammuz, a mourning ritual tied to the deity's seasonal descent into the underworld. The Queen of Heaven. Oh, thank you, sweetness. Brittany Stepler 2103. Thank you, darling. All right. She said she likes the shirt. Mentioned primarily by the prophet Jeremiah, this title refers to Ishtar. Jeremiah condemns Judean families for baking sacrificial cakes and pouring out drink offerings to her on the streets of Jerusalem. I bet them were some sacrificial cakes. Baby, what them cakes have in them? They were some special cakes. They were some magical cakes. Did they have some Mary Jane in them cakes? Baby, I bet that and the drink was lit. Yeah, because whoever wrote this was high as a kite. They was having the time of their lives whipping up this Bible. The Philistine pantheon, an Aegean-linked coastal people who frequently fought early Israel, possessed a distinct religion infrastructure centered around major urban temples. Dagon, a major Semitic god of grain and agriculture adopted by the Philistines. In 1 Samuel 5, after the Philistines captured the Ark of the Covenant and place it in the temple of Dagon at Ashdod, the statue of Dagon is found fallen face down before the ark 2 days in a row with its head and hands broken off. That's interesting. If you have that cut off, you're no longer master of your head. The Hierophant. Upside down, reversed, tarot card. And you no longer are able to use your wands. the magician, upside down in tarot. And palms contain all of your wands, which I learned from palmistry this weekend. I'm studying palmistry. You literally hold planets along with the 4 elements in your hand. All right. Baal, Zebub, the deity of the Philistine city of Ekron, meaning Lord of the Flies, a mocking distortion of Baal Zebul, meaning Lord of the Heavenly Prince in the New Testament. This name evoked into Beelzebub, used as a title for Satan, the character Satan, because Satan, of course, does not exist. All right. In the New Testament, the geographical canvas shifts to the Mediterranean, bringing the early church into direct conflict with the sophisticated public religions of Greece and Rome, as well as the deification of political rulers. Artemis of the Ephesians. In Acts 19, the Apostle Paul's preaching in Ephesus causes a massive riot led by local silversmiths who made shrines for Artemis, Diana, the ancient multi-breasted fertility and protector goddess whose temple was one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. Zeus and Hermes. In Acts 14, after Paul and Barnabas perform a miraculous healing in Lystra, the local populace attempts to offer sacrifices to them, believing Barnabas to be Zeus, Jupiter, and Paul to be Hermes, Mercury because he was the chief speaker. The imperial cult, emperor worship. Though veiled in apocalyptic imagery, the book of Revelation heavily targets the Roman imperial cult, where citizens were required to sacrifice to the genius of the emperor. The beast of Revelation is widely understood by historians to symbolize the totalitarian power of Rome, demanding worship that belongs solely to God. In New Testaments, the critique moves from henotheism, acknowledging other national gods exist, but choosing to worship only one, to strict monotheism, asserting the foreign gods are literal non-entities, illusions, or demonic counterfeits. Oh, this is going to be delicious, baby. Wait till we talk about Solomon. We about to get into some meat. Really? The religious landscape of the ancient Canaanites and their seafaring descendants, the Phoenicians, featured a powerful, deeply integrated pantheon where female deities held monumental authority. You think? Rather than being continued to be domestic or secondary roles. These goddesses govern cosmic creation, territorial sovereignty, fierce strategic warfare, and the cyclic mysteries of life, resting forever in eternal peace and regeneration. Astarte, queen of the morning star. Source, Museum of Witchcraft and Magic. Hello, Astarte, Astarte. Lady who walks on the sea. Ashera. Asherah. Anat, Anat, fierce maiden and mistress of the sword. Tanit, protectress of Carthage, Tanit. Belat, Jebal, Baalat, Gebal, lady of Byblos, mistress of Byblos. the ancient and wealthy Phoenician port city. She was not merely a local deity, she was recognized internationally, even by Egyptian pharaohs, who equated her with Hathor. Spapash, the torch of the gods and celestial mediator, Shapash. Nikal, Nakkal, the radiant goddess of the orchards. Pidre, the lady of mist and celestial dew. Tali, the maiden of rain and showers. Ashray, the underworld maid of the deep earth, the cultural transition. When they traveled west across the Mediterranean, they carried these archetypes with them. They deeply influenced Greco-Roman religion, laying the structural groundwork for the evolution of goddesses like Aphrodite, Juno, and Diana. All right. Okay, so those are a few of the goddesses from that time. There are many goddesses, but that's a book. Let's talk about the Testament of Solomon, which is the Coven is reading right now at 7:00 in the morning. We did chapter 1, 1 through 11 yesterday, baby, and we dove into chapter 1, 11 to 32 today. Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about that and a few other things. Let's see. Solomon is gathering the baddest demons, baby. Just like that. Just like that. So the pseudepigrapha was likely written by a Christian author around 2nd to 5th century, but written from the perspective of King Solomon. Let's talk about what happens in these verses. The interrogations and the extraction of demon secrets. Putting Onias to work, verses 11 to 15. After trapping Onias, the annoying vampire-like demon who was sucking the thumb and stealing the wages of Solomon's young master builder, Solomon does not just banish him, he uses the ring to force Onias into manual labor. Colonizer consciousness loves forcing people and machines into manual labor. Onias is commanded to cut stones for the temple, carrying them straight out of the Arabian Sea. Baby, if that's not mystical and delicious, I don't know what is. Terrified of the iron tools, Onias begs for mercy, the demon, begs for mercy and promises Solomon a massive prize. Let me go and I will bring you all the remaining demons. Summoning the prince, Beelzebul, verses 16 to 25. Onias keeps his word. He takes Solomon's ring and goes after Beelzebub, the prince of demons. We need a movie. Beelzebub shows up throwing a massive temper tantrum, shooting flames of fire out of fury. Solomon is totally unfazed. He sits on his throne, holds up the seal, and forces Beelzebub to sit down and spill the cosmic hierarchy. Whatever kind of ring Solomon got, I'm gonna need that kind of ring. Beelzebub is forced to admit that he is the highest ranking fallen angel from the first heaven and that he can be thwarted only by the Almighty God of the Archangel Emmanuel. Conscripting the elite, verses 26 to 32. Solomon turns Beelzebub into his ultimate informant. He forces the demon prince to summon the rest of the underworld's heavy hitters, one by one. Next up is Onoskilis, a shape-shifting female demon with the legs of a mule who's men and lives in caves. Solomon forces her to start spinning hemp into thick ropes for the temple builders. I can think of a lot of things to do, but spinning hemp in thick ropes was for the temple builders was not one. Following her is Asmodeus, the famous demon of lust and wrath from the book of Tobit. Asmodeus spits fury at Solomon, predicting that the kingdom will eventually slide into ruin, but Solomon just binds him in iron chains and forces him to trample clay for making bricks. To trample clay. The big takeaway. The author of this text was essentially trying to explain a historical mystery. How did Solomon build a temple so grand, silent, and perfect without the sound of iron tools? The ancient folklore answer: he literally enslaved a demonic construction crew to do the heavy lifting. It is definitely a fascinating read for a morning study session. So Christians were worried about Egypt, African traditional religions, and voodoo. Honey child, please. The irony. Because folks will side-eye metaphysicians for working with spirits, altar, and cosmic forces, while completely ignoring that one of their own historical texts depicts King Solomon acting like a spiritual warlord, running a literal supernatural labor camp. So let's talk about differences. Practice: African traditional religions and voodoo. The Testament of Solomon. The core action: communing with, petitioning, or directing specific spiritual entities, Luwa, Orishas, or ancestors. For Testament of Solomon, it is interrogating, binding, and commanding specific spiritual entities, or Nias, Beelzebub, and Asmodeus. For African traditional religion, Viv, sacred symbols, herbs, specific rhythms, and spoken keys to align energy. For the Solomon, it's a magical ring engraved with divine seal, iron chains, and a specific spoken formula. For African traditional religions, the goal is healing, protection, community alignment, and navigating the physical world. For the Testament of Solomon, it is building a massive physical structure, the temple, and gaining hidden cosmic intelligence. The power paradigm shift. The massive difference usually comes down to relationships versus domination. In African traditional religion and voodoo, the relationship with the spirit realm is deeply relational, reciprocal, and respectful. You don't enslave a Luwa or an Orisha, you honor them. build an altar, offer what they like, and work with them as cosmic guardians or archetypes of nature. It's a system of balance. In the Testament of Solomon is pure raw domination. Solomon is using state-sanctioned divine authority to put the underworld handcuffs and make them do hard labor. He's demanding names, zodiac signs, and vulnerability so he can exploit them. Baby, colonizer consciousness. When Solomon uses a magical talisman, rings, and secret spiritual names to force spirits to build a temple, it is framed in the text as divine wisdom. But when indigenous traditions use sacred symbols and spirit communications for community healing, it gets labeled as dangerous. The text basically shows that early practitioners were deeply comfortable with the idea of spirit-driven world. They just wanted to make sure they were the ones holding the whip. Solomon is doing what colonizer consciousness does. Excuse me. The Testament of Solomon isn't just a quirky piece of ancient folklore. It is a textbook blueprint of colonizer consciousness playing out on a cosmic scale. Extraction of wealth and free labor. Colonization runs on stolen labor to build massive infrastructure that the ruling class gets credit for. Solomon doesn't want to pay wages or exert his own people's energy to cut stones and spin hemp for the temple. Instead, he enslaves an entire population of entities, strips them of their agency, and forces them into hard labor. The temple becomes a monument built on the backs of exploited underclass. Does this sound familiar? Forced informants and divide and conquer. The moment Solomon gets Beelzebul in chains, what does he do? He doesn't just lock him away. He turns him into a tool of the state. He forces the leader to betray his own people, demanding that Beelzebul summon the other demons so Solomon can bind them too. This is a classic imperial strategy. Find the local authority, compromise or capture them, and use them to dismantle the rest of the community from the inside out. Strip mining local and indigenous knowledge. Solomon sits on his throne and interrogates these entities, demanding they cough up their secret names, their astrological associations, and what cures or angels can thwart them. In modern terms, this is the forced extraction of indigenous intellectual property. He is strip mining their cosmic knowledge, documenting it, and using it to permanently neutralize their power while enriching his own toolkit. Baby. Okay. The ultimate irony. Under colonizer consciousness, the oppressor always frames their dominance as a moral or divine right. Solomon justifies the total subjugation, binding, excuse me, y'all. Exploration of these entities by claiming he has a divine mandate via the Archangel Michael's ring. It is a complete paradigm of domination over relationships. While indigenous systems like African traditional religions or Egyptian metaphysics focus on harmony, reciprocity, and cosmic balance with the unseen world, Solomon's approach is pure imperial expansion. Subjugate, exploit, and build your monument. Honey child, please. It's the same old empire, just wearing a crown and holding a magic ring. We're going to discuss hidden language in the Bible, names they use, divination tools, necromancy, and anything else that might be disguised in the language. Woo. Excuse me. All right. The difference between divine, miracle, and witchcraft. The divination tools and the high priestess breastplate. We are taught to think of the Levitical priesthood as the ultimate anti-witchcraft authority. Yet the high priest carried a literal divination pouch right over his heart containing the Urim and Thummim. Thummim. The disguised language. The text calls him sacred lots or tools to inquire of the Lord. Exodus 28:30. 1 Samuel 14:41, to require of cosmic law. We connect dots around here. The witchcraft reality. This is clitoromancy, divination by casting lots, stones, or bones, a practice found in almost every indigenous tradition globally. How it works. The term Urim and Thummim roughly translate to lights and perfections, or etymologically linked to curse and faultless. They were likely two flat stones or gem, one light, one dark, or engraved with specific characters kept in the breastplate. The priest would ask a binary yes, no question, reach into the pouch and draw a stone. Oh, I'm trying to think of the word. It reminds me of the I can't think of it right now. Pendulum. Reminds me almost of a pendulum. All right. When the high priest does it to determine if Israel should go to war, it is divine judgment. If Babylonian priests cast arrows or look at liver to make the same decisions, 21:21, the Bible calls it forbidden pagan knowledge. Joseph's silver cup, hydromancy and scrying. In Genesis 44, Joseph frames his brothers by hiding his personal silver cup in Benjamin's sack. When his steward catches up with them, look at the language used to describe the cup. Is not this it in which my lordeth drink? And whereby indeed he divineth? Genesis 44:5. The disguised language, translated softly in many modern versions as making wise forecast or searching out secrets. You keep cups at your altar. Cups is in tarot. The magician has cups, wand, sword, and pentacles. That is tarot card number 1 after the Fool. The witchcraft reality, the Hebrew word used here is neshash, which explicitly means to practice divination, observe signs, or learn by experience or omens. Joseph was practicing scurrying or hydromancy, the art of gazing into liquid water, oil, or wine in a silver cup to induce visions, peer into the future, or track down stolen items. Oh, thank you, Grandpa. Grandpapa's name was Joseph. The irony, Joseph is celebrated as a holy patriarch with the gift of interpretation, yet the text casually drops that he owned and regularly used a dedicated scurrying tool. Necromancy. Ooh, this is going to be delicious for today's spell when we get to it here shortly. Necromancy, communicating with those no longer here in the third realm without an avatar, is explicitly banned in Leviticus and Deuteronomy. The most famous violation is King Saul using the medium of Endor to summon the spirit of the prophet Samuel, 1 Samuel 28. But the elite had a linguistically sanitized way of accessing astral realm energy, the disguised language. Phrases like he slept with his fathers or being gathered into his people are often treated as mere poetic euphemisms for no longer being here on earth. The witchcraft reality. In ancient Israelite and Canaanite practices, family tombs were constructed with specific conduits, tablets, and hollow spaces for necromancy and ancestral feeding. Families would literally pour libations and leave food offerings at the tomb to feed the Rephaim, the ancestral spirits or shades, so they would remain protective guardians of the lineage. You put food on your altar. The rebrand. The entire concept of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob operates on an ancestral covenant structure, calling upon the names of those no longer here. Patriarchs to activate a blessing or protect a lineage is mechanically the invocation of ancestral spirits. We've already covered the first altar you build is an ancestral altar. Word magic, prophetic decrees versus spells. The Bible warns heavily against Charman, translated as Charmel or spellcaster. Someone who binds people or things using spoken words or not, yet the prophetic office entirely built on word magic. I love word magic, but you knew that already. That's why I've got 19 books working on 20. I did go ahead and I wrote down my table of contents for cosmic orgasms yesterday so that I can put it in today. Woo, honey. The disguised language, prophetic declarations, decreeing a thing, or realizing a word. The witchcraft reality. This is the execution of verbal spell, the manipulation of reality via focal frequency and intent. Elisha and the curse. In 2 Kings 2:24, we paused in Kings so we could read the Testament of Solomon. I'm glad we did. So we haven't quite got there yet, but we're headed there. Elisha gets mocked by a group of youth. He turns around and curses them in the name of the Lord, and immediately 2 she-bears walk out of the woods and tear 42 of them to pieces. This is not a prayer. This is a spoken curse, utilizing a deity's name as an energetic power source to command nature. This clock in here don't work. All I got are these broken clocks. Okay. It hasn't moved since I've been here. How am I supposed to know what time it is? Okay, 48:27. Ezekiel and the bones. Ezekiel is told to prophesy to the dry bones. He speaks word directly to animate matter and commands the wind spirit rocks to enter them. Mechanically, this is necromantic animation via vocal incantation. Y'all remember that old gospel song talking about Ezekiel's bones? Okay. Talisman in sympathetic magic. Sympathetic magic operates on the principle that like affects like, that you can manipulate a physical object or image to produce a corresponding effect in the real world. The disguised language. A sign of remembrance, anointing shadows, or prophetic acts. The witchcraft reality. This text is littered with physical talisman and active sympathetic magic. The bronze serpent, Ninhursag. When the Israelites are bitten by venomous snakes in the desert, Moses is told to forge a bronze serpent and put it on a pole. Anyone who looks at the bronze image is healed. Numbers 21:9. This is textbook ancient Near Eastern sympathetic magic using the image of the afflictor to cure the affliction. They kept this talisman for centuries until King Hezekiah finally smashed it because the people were burning incense to it as an idol. You keep incense on your altar. Jacob's genetic manipulation. Jacob wants to increase his livestock wages, so he takes peeled green poplar and hazel rods, carved white streaks in them, and places them in the water troughs. Where the flocks mate, Genesis 30:37-39, the visual stimulus causes the sheep to give birth to speckled and spotted offspring. This is pure folk magic based on visual patterns shifting reality. Apostolic handkerchiefs in Acts 19:12. Handkerchiefs or aprons that had touched Paul's skin were carried into the sick, and diseases left them, and evil spirits went out. This is the exact definition of an amulet or a mojo bag. Imbuing a physical cloth with the spiritual residence ashe of a practitioner to carry power over a distance. Ashe, ashe, ashe. All right. The root word game. Let's get to it. The linguistic cover-up becomes undeniable when you look at the Hebrew word for witchcraft itself, kahaf, K-A-S-H-A-P-H. Its etymological root doesn't actually mean evil. It literally means to whisper, to mutter incantations, or to cut shape materials for magical use. When a witch whispered a chant over herbs, it was kashpash, kashhaf, forbidden. When a prophet spent the night whispering prayers or meditating on the holy names to bring a child back to life, like Elijah in 1 Kings 17, it was a miracle. The actions are identical. The only difference is the passport, the uniform, and who owns the press that prints the books. Delicious. Now, the rebranded titles, the occult counterpart versus the exact mechanical action. Seer, prophet, prophetess, psychic, medium, fortune teller. Accessing the unseen realm to retrieve hidden information or predict future events. Inquiring of the Lord, Urim and Thummim. Cleromancy, casting lots, tarot. Discerning of spirits. Decreeing a thing, prophetic activation. Spell casting, spoken incantation, using vocal frequency, intent, and specific names of power to alter physical reality. Prophetic act, anointed subject. Sympathetic magic, talisman, amulet. Changing a physical object, bronze serpent, carved rods, cloth with charging of physical objects, like you charge your stones on the full moon. We talked about that. Charging a physical object, bronze serpent, carved rods, cloths with spiritual entity to cause a shift in the material world. Intercession versus the cloud of witnesses. Ancestral veneration, necromancy, calling upon the names, merits, and spiritual presence of those no longer here on the earth with us, ancestors. Patriarchs, matriarchs for protection and alignment. Excuse me. The golden rule of imperial religion. The mechanics are identical. The only real difference is who holds the permit. Let's talk about the sky in July. I told you that the sky was going to have some things going on. And we're going to discuss those here in a minute. After we read spell 12. Yes. Baby spell 12 was one of my favorite spells. Oh, I am super excited to go over this spell with you. This is where I'm taking. Okay. Notes on this spell. Now it's time to erect a brand new wealth altar. To support your spell work, any new altar erected on earth is immediately attended by angels who flock to it, and ancestors too, baby. Even if you already have an altar, erecting a brand new wealth altar is highly advisable. Select a space in your home for the altar. Clean the space thoroughly. Remember to keep the altar simple. Keep the altar erected for this entire process. Tend the altar by keeping it clean and prayed up. Erecting an altar is highly personal. Baby, do you? Woo! Yes. All right. Raise your vibration by meditating, chanting, song, dance, laughing, or anything else that raises your vibration. Such a good vibration. Such a sweet sensation. All right. In the space where the altar will be, state this intention. It is my intention to create wealth in divine alignment. I erect this altar, support this intention, and create the energetic space for wealth to unfold in my life now. Use a tabletop, desk, or any flat surface and cover it with a beautiful, rich, and luxurious altar cloth. Step 4, place the holy implements of your choice on the altar. Cross, Buddha, angels, crystal, holy book, candles. Step 5, place any symbol of wealth on the altar, including money. Include money from other countries if available. Step 6, when complete, say a prayer of thanks. Know that your altar anchors your wealth in the physical. Well, my wealth altar was a shelf that I bought off of someone that had a Bath and Body Works shelf. So it had like 3 empty shelves, and then it had like 2 drawers. And I had it repainted sunshine yellow. And I chose Grandmama Josie, great-grandmama Josie, as one of the ancestors for that altar, because Grandmama Josie did not work a regular job. But everybody dropped off their kids at her house, and she always had a check. And then she always had plenty of food because she had goats and chickens and a garden, and she was always cooking from scratch. Grandmama Josie lived to be 105 years old. So that is who I put on my wealth altar before she passed. That she was 105 before she passed, and then after she passed, I decided that she would be used for the wealth altar. Now, I put all kinds of goodies on my wealth altar. Stones, crowns, material, custom-made lingerie. Baby, that altar was lit. Yes, absolutely. And yeah. Now, she said to keep it simple, but I did say the other day, your altar would tell you what it would like on it. Okay? All right. Now, that is the wealth altar. I'm so glad we covered it. I look forward to seeing what happens. Oh, and of course I kept my cauldron for potions and spells at my wealth altar. Okay. Now, let's talk about the cosmos. What is going on? This is the perfect time for magic, baby. If ever there was a time. The real cosmic fireworks, double meteor showers. As July draws to a close, Earth passes through multiple trails of space, dust left behind by ancient comets, igniting a double feature of shooting stars that peak simultaneously on July 30th to 31st, per NASA. The southern delta aqualids, the shower brings a steady stream of about 25 meteors per hour. There are typically fainter, faster moving streaks slicing through the southern sky. The alpha Capricornids, while the shower only produces about 5 meteors per hour, it is famous for what it lacks in quantity, fireballs. It routinely drops slow-moving, massive, brilliant yellow explosions of light across the night sky. The moon will be nearly full during the peak, so the faint delta aqua lids might get a bit drowned out, but those bright alpha Capricornids fireballs will slice right through the moonlight. American Meteor Society. Cosmic alignments, the planetary dances. The planets are shuffling positions all month long, putting on a brilliant show right at twilight and dawn. I normally try to watch the sunset every day. Okay? I'm normally in class for the sunrise. But for the sunset, I try to make that a habit. Cosmic alignment, the planetary dances. The planets are shuffling positions all month long, putting on a brilliant show right at twilight and dawn. July 7th, the Saturn-Moon conjunction. Look up in the early morning hours to see the waning crescent moon slide right next to the ring planet Saturn, glowing steadily in the pre-dawn hours. Well, this is awesome, because Val is moving Bible readings to the evening starting July 1st. So I'll be up in time to catch some action, boo. Okay, that's the Cayman Science Center. July 11th, the Mars-Moon Junction. A few mornings later, the moon visits the fiery red planet Mars, hanging low in the eastern sky just before sunrise. The evening majesty, Venus, is absolutely dominating the western sky right after sunset all month long. It is blindingly bright and serving as the ultimate evening star before it heads toward its peak visibility later in August. Mercury's morning hustle. For early risers in late July, the elusive swift planet Mercury makes a brief, sharp appearance low on the horizon just before dawn. Astronomy Magazine. Earth's furthest flight, Aphelion, July 6th. On July 6th, a massive silent astronomical milestone happens that feels entirely counterintuitive. Earth hits Aphelion, the exact point in our elliptic orbit where we are furthest away from the sun, about 94.5 million miles. We hit. I'm going to have to study Aphelion some more. Milwaukee Public Museum. Even though the northern hemisphere is baking in summer heat due to the tilt of our axis, we are physically further from our star than any other point in the entire year. The pre-show alert, July 17th, marks the very beginning of the Perseids meteor shower activity. While it doesn't peak until mid-August, where it will hit a spectacular 100 to 150 meteors an hour under a perfectly dark new moon sky, the early rogue meteors from this heavyweight shower will start streaking across the sky in late July. Royal Museums, Greenwich. Time and date. Grab a blanket, get away from the city lights if you can, and let the sky do the entertaining. And oh yes, baby, I'm here for all the sky action. I like sky action. All right. Late June, Mars shift, motivation returns. You get the Mercury mental upgrade in July because Mercury is the cosmic messenger and is moving fast and sharp, giving you the ultimate download channel so that you can see through noise, decode hidden patterns, and speak with absolute authority over yourself. It is the perfect window for writing, launching, or having those heavy-hitting strategic conversations. All right. And that is what the sky has in store for July. I'm here for all the fireworks, literally. All right. This has been completely scrumptious. At least for me, it has. I hope it did for you what it did for me. And I will see you tomorrow, same time. And I believe we have covered everything that we said we were going to discuss. So unless the spirit hits me with something, tomorrow should be just a wee bit shorter, okay, than an hour and 6 minutes. Okay. All right. I love you, love tubers. I hope you have a phenomenal day today, my darlings. Mwah.